This is my academic background. I think I forgot to put my DAT scores in there, but I went to University of Waterloo, and I actually have my brother on this slide as well because he's also a dentist, and he is also currently working in Ontario, Toronto, and he chose to go down the American dental school path, and I chose to go down the Australian dental school path. So I guess I kind of have insight into both of those if you do want to study in those two areas. My GPA was about 3.6, 3.7, and my brother's GPA was about 3.8, 3.9. From what I remember, my brother did not get into a Canadian dental school with that GPA. I think he got an interview at Western, but didn't really get in. And then he got into New York University in Manhattan, New York, and just goes to show how weird admission process is, because my brother, who didn't get into a Canadian dental school but got into an American dental school, he ended up being the valedictorian in that class of 350 kids, top of the class GPA wise in all of dental school. So I don't know if Canadian dental schools look at GPA or if they look at other things, but don't let it beat you down if you did not get into a Canadian dental school. It does not mean that you are necessarily not a smart person, because there are lots of us that go abroad and we actually excel. So yeah, I just want to share that story with you because it's just funny to me at how competitive Canadian dental schools are. I went to University of Melbourne for dental school. I did write a DAT, and I wrote it in my second year of undergrad. I actually wrote the American DAT, so they had a few more categories on the American DAT. Why I wrote the American over the Canadian DAT was because the American one you can write more often throughout the year, whereas the Canadian DAT you could only write, I think, 2 times a year. So unfortunately, the 2 times the year that you could write that Canadian DAT was kind of falling into when my midterms were happening. So I was like, you know what, I might as well write the American one. So yeah, I mean, my score, I think, was 2021 average wise, and then my science score was probably 24 average wise. So that was kind of where I laid. My brother's DAT scores were a lot higher. I think he was like 25, 20, 28, around that range. So yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you can have very different GPAs or DAT scores, but my brother and I both ended up as dentists. We both ended up back in Ontario, working in a very similar clinic, earning a very similar paycheck. So it does not matter where you come from. Just work hard, study hard, and no matter where you go in the world to study, you can always come back as long as you go to America, Australia, and Ireland. Okay, I think those are the 3 places that you have that reciprocal agreement.